Columbina and Inefa banners are going to be out in just a few hours, and after all the recent changes and actually seeing Columbina's gameplay, along with the different types of animation cancels that make her even more broken, it's finally time we properly analyze just how strong she really is compared to some of the strongest units in the game, including Mavuika, who is currently the most valuable unit in the entire meta. So let's start by ranking Columbina's value. First, her biggest highlight, she is now your go-to support for Geo, Dendro, and Electro teams because she can trigger lunar reactions with all three of these elements. That alone already makes her insanely flexible. However, one important thing to understand is that you almost always want to pair Columbina with another Nod Cry support to actually see a real damage increase compared to your previous teams. For example, in Dendro setups, you need Lauma alongside Columbina if you want to notice a meaningful increase in Hyperbloom damage. And when we talk about Lunar Bloom, Nefer plus Lauma is still stronger than Nefer plus Columbina. So yes, for any Dendro-focused account, Lauma should still be your first priority. The same logic applies to Electro. You will almost always prefer Inefa over Columbina for Electro teams, whether you're playing Flynn's, Varesa, or even older units like Raiden and Chlorand. Now Geo is where things become different. Right now, Columbina is the only dedicated support for Lunar Crystallise teams. Characters like Iluga are worse than Columbina in this role, and Iluga does not even trigger Lunar Crystallized by herself. That means for any Geo DPS like Navia, Itto, and others, Columbina is currently the best support you can get, especially when paired with strong 4 stars like Iluga or Ino. So the big question becomes, why is Columbina a better pull than Lauma and Inefa? The answer is simple. Even though Lauma is the best Dendro unit and Inefa is the best Electro unit, both of them are locked to their specific elements. Columbina, on the other hand, works with all three, Geo, Dendro, and Electro, giving her unmatched flexibility, even if her peak damage is slightly lower. This also means the only real reason to skip Columbina is if you are fully committing to just one element, for example, only Electro with Flynn's, or only Dendro with Nefer. But for Lunar Crystallise specifically, she is absolutely the best support you can get for any Geo DPS. Now, coming back to the topic, before we directly compare Columbina with other units, we need to talk about one more character, Mavuika. In my opinion, Mavuika is still the single most valuable character in the game. Yes, she doesn't work perfectly with all Lunar DPS characters because her damage bonus buffs are less effective there, and Lunar teams usually prefer Hydro units. But Mavuika still works with almost all older DPS units, and she also fits into the new Hexenzirkel archetype. She still holds some of the strongest teams in the game, including Sitlali Melt, Vape with Furina, and Overload with Iansan, Chevreuse, and Durin. Now, here's the key difference. Mavuika prefers Melt and Vape archetypes. Columbina prefers reaction-heavy teams, Electro Charged, Dendro reactions, and the new Lunar Crystallise. Looking at the current meta, Columbina actually has more S-tier teams than Mavuika. She works with all 3 Nod Cry units. She works with Lauma and Inefa in Hyperbloom. She works with Lauma and Durin in Burgeon teams as an on-field driver. And after the dash cancel on her charged attacks, these teams become even more broken, reaching around 130,000 DPS. That's higher than Skirk in many scenarios, and roughly equal to Skirk's premium teams. Keep in mind, these calculations are only references. Your actual results will depend on artifact quality, weapons, and overall builds. Right now, out of the top 5 teams in the game, 4 of them include Columbina. That alone should tell you how dominant she is in the current meta. Now, yes, she does have a restriction. You need a good Nod Cry unit to maximize her value. But that's not actually that restrictive. Mavuika also needs specific characters like Sitlali or Zelonin to reach her peak. Hoyoverse always designs these characters with some level of dependency to keep them balanced. When Mavuika first released, everyone said she was too restrictive, that you needed Zelonin, that you needed specific setups. But over time, with more Natlan characters, more combos, and more playstyles, Mavuika became one of the most universal characters in the game. And I fully expect the exact same thing to happen with Columbina. It's very likely that we will get more lunar characters in the future, maybe Snow Maiden, maybe Linnea, and possibly even 4-star units, which will only make Columbina stronger with time. Now, coming to teams, the top 5 to 6 teams we discussed are all super expensive, and most players can realistically only build 1 or 2 full teams. And this is where Mavuika's value really comes in. Almost all of Mavuika's on-field teams are above 110,000 DPS, whether you have premium supports or not. Even with teams like Yansan, Chevreuse, and Oraran, which are all 4-star units, she can still touch around 100,000 DPS. And if you pair any Natlan DPS unit with Mavuika, you can easily reach around 105 to 110,000 DPS. Mavuika also works with almost every cryo off-field unit and most hydro units, which makes her insanely flexible. She also provides 2 playstyles, on-field DPS and buffer, and especially her on-field teams are just completely broken. She can almost single-handedly clear one side of the abyss with decent supports and good gameplay, without relying on any gimmicks or tricks. She can even work smoothly with other DPS units like Arlecchino and Nouverlet. Unlike Columbina, you almost always need another Nodcry member to fit her into a team. Other than older DPS units and Natlan DPS units, Mavuika is also preferred with the Hexerei teams. This is because Hexerei members scale heavily from damage bonus, like Venti and Duran, and future units like Varka and Nicole are also expected to scale from damage bonus. This means Mavuika can function as a decent off-field support or as a main DPS with Hexerei supports. Currently, the Duran-Mavuika duo is the strongest mono-pyro team, thanks to Mavuika's 40% damage bonus from her burst and another 40% damage bonus from the Cinder City set, which massively boosts her personal damage and makes her incredibly flexible. Right now, Columbina's value without a Nodcry unit is very, very low, but this will change, and don't be surprised if after a month, I myself say that Columbina is better in overall value. As I said before, directly comparing these 2 units is kind of difficult, because they function completely differently. But now that we finally have a unit who rivals Mavuika in overall value, it also means that Powercreep has officially begun. Abyss enemy health is spiking massively, as we can already see. The DPS bar that used to be around 90,000 is now shifting toward 105,000 DPS or even higher. And very soon, even Natlan units that are currently clearing Abyss easily might struggle far more than you expect. I hope this video helped you understand the current power hierarchy. Make sure to subscribe. Till then.